Let's start with Belly. For most of the series, she has been caught in a space between innocence and growth, between wanting a fairy tale and learning that love is complicated. By episode 11, she has shifted into someone more grounded. Her silence in the final scene isn't weakness, it's strength. Belly no longer lets herself be pulled into the whirlwind of emotions around her. Instead, she takes control by refusing to rush her heart. She knows that no matter what she chooses, someone she loves will be hurt. That kind of maturity shows us how far she has come since season 1. Belly's presence in the ending scene reflects the quiet truth that growing up means accepting the pain that comes with love. She isn't a dreamy girl waiting to be chosen anymore. She is the one who has to choose. Then there's Conrad. He has always been the most complicated of the three. His love for Belly is deep and undeniable, but his struggle has always been expressing it. In the ending, Conrad's silence and restraint tell us everything. He has spent years protecting himself, hiding his feelings behind walls of sarcasm, distance, or avoidance. But in this moment, he can't hide anymore. We see him want to step forward, to claim what he has always wanted, but the tragedy of Conrad is that he is always a second too late. His love is real, but it is wrapped in regret. Watching him at the end of episode 11 is heartbreaking because you can feel how much he wants to say the right thing, but you also know he doesn't believe he deserves Belly's love anymore. He punishes himself before anyone else can. That's why his role in the scene feels both powerful and tragic. Conrad is his own worst enemy, and episode 11 reminds us of that. Jeremiah, on the other hand, is the opposite. He doesn't hold back. His emotions are written all over his face, in the way he looks at Belly like she's the center of his world. Jeremiah's role in the ending shows us a boy who refuses to let love slip away without a fight. His energy is desperate, but it's also honest. Where Conrad hides, Jeremiah exposes everything. He wants answers, he wants clarity, and he wants Belly to choose him. There's a bravery in that openness, but also a vulnerability. In episode 11's ending, Jeremiah risks his heart fully, knowing it might shatter. That risk is what makes his presence so intense. Unlike Conrad, who retreats into silence, Jeremiah charges forward, willing to be heard if it means not leaving anything unsaid. What makes this ending so unique is how the three characters mirror different sides of love. Belly represents the struggle of choice, the weight of loving to people in very different ways. Conrad represents the fear of losing what you love because you waited too long. Jeremiah represents the courage to fight for love even when you might lose. Together, their dynamic forms a triangle not just of romance but of human nature, hesitation, hope, and heartbreak. We can't forget the role of family and memory in shaping each character here. Belly carries the advice of her mother and the grief of Susanna's absence. Conrad still holds onto guilt and grief that color the way he approaches relationships. Jeremiah, who often feels like the second choice, carries a need to finally be someone's first. All of these layers collide in the final scene, making their actions more than just romantic gestures. They are expressions of everything these characters have endured up until now. By the time the screen fades to black, we understand each of them more deeply. Belly is no longer a passive part of the triangle. She is the anchor. Conrad is no longer just the brooding love interest. He's a boy broken by timing and fear. Jeremiah is no longer just the sunshine brother. He is a young man daring to put everything on the line. This transformation makes the episode 11 ending not just dramatic but deeply human. The brilliance of this scene is that it doesn't make us hate or blame any of them. Instead, it forces us to empathize with all three. We see their flaws, we see their strengths, and we see the heartbreak they can't avoid. That's why fans argue endlessly about who Belly should end up with. There's no simple answer, because each of them represents something real, something relatable about love. And episode 11 makes sure we feel the full weight of that truth. The ending of episode 11 is more than dialogue or choices. It is layered with symbols that tell us just as much as the characters' words. Every glance, every setting detail, and every pause carries meaning. If we look closer, we see that the show is not just telling us a story about Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah. It is showing us the universal themes of love, loss, and the fleeting nature of summer itself. One of the strongest symbols in this episode is the summer house. All season long, it has stood as more than a building. It is a container of memories, the laughter of childhood summers, the warmth of Susanna's love, and the heartbreak of growing up. In the ending scene, the house feels alive, almost, like it is silently watching as the three young hearts break open in front of it. When Belly stands between the brothers in that space, she isn't just choosing between Conrad and Jeremiah. She is standing at the crossroads of her past and her future. The house reminds us that love is tied to memory, and memory can be both a comfort and a weight. The beach and summer setting are another key symbol. Summer in this series has always meant freedom, possibility, and first love. But by the end of episode 11, summer begins to feel fragile, like it's slipping away. The golden light of the season turns softer, signaling change. The warmth that once made everything feel endless now highlights how temporary it all is. Summer becomes a metaphor for youth, beautiful, intoxicating, but destined to end. That's why the ending feels so heavy. It's not just about Belly's love story. It's about the loss of innocence that comes when summer turns into fall. Another recurring theme in the ending is the idea of silence versus expression. Conrad and Jeremiah embody this contrast perfectly. Conrad's silence is heavy with meaning. It symbolizes the way love can become trapped, unspoken, and weighed down by fear. Jeremiah's outpouring of words symbolizes the opposite, the desperate need to speak before time runs out. Belly's silence in the middle of this clash becomes the most symbolic of all. She isn't refusing to feel. Instead, her silence shows growth. She realizes that rushing to speak won't fix what's broken. Sometimes silence is the only honest answer when the truth is too big to say. The ending also ties deeply into the theme of growing up. Belly's journey mirrors the universal experience of learning that love is never simple. In childhood, love feels magical and absolute. But in adulthood, love comes with sacrifice, with guilt, with impossible decisions. By episode 11, Belly has stepped into that realization. Her decision isn't just about who she loves more, it's about who she is becoming. The scene asks viewers to remember their own first heartbreak, that moment when you understood that loving someone doesn't guarantee a happy ending. It's painful, but it's also part of what makes us grow. Even the music in the final scene works as a symbolic thread. The soft, bittersweet melody that plays under the dialogue feels like the soundtrack of memory itself. It's the sound of endings, the sound of something beautiful slipping away. Music has always been a guide in this series, telling us how to feel when words fall short. In episode 11, it reminds us that this story is not just about who ends up with whom, but about the universal ache of knowing that time and love don't always move in the same direction. There's also the shadow of loss present in the scene. Susanna's absence hangs in the air, even though no one says her name. The summer house, the brothers' rivalry, Belly's heartbreak, all of it is touched by the grief of losing her. This unspoken layer deepens the symbolism of the ending. It tells us that love and loss are forever intertwined. You cannot hold on to joy without carrying grief beside it. The characters are not only navigating romance, they are navigating the weight of memory and the way grief shapes love. Finally, the overarching theme of episode 11's ending is change. Nothing can stay the same, not summer, not love, not even the people we thought we knew so well. The ending captures that terrifying but necessary truth. Growing up means letting go of what we thought would last forever. Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah are each forced to confront that change in their own way. Belly accepts it with quiet strength. Conrad resists it with regret. Jeremiah fights it with hope. Together, their struggle paints a picture of what it means to stand on the edge of adulthood, looking back at what you've lost and forward at what you still don't understand. This is why episode 11's ending lingers long after it ends. It isn't just about a love triangle. It's about the universal themes of memory, time, silence, and change. The symbols scattered throughout the scene remind us that this isn't just Belly's story. It's a story about all of us, about the way love and loss shape who we become. And that's what makes it unforgettable. The ending of episode 11 doesn't just close a chapter. It cracks open every fragile emotion that has been building since the very start of this season. It's the kind of ending that makes you sit in silence for a moment, replaying every word and glance, wondering what it really means for Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah. Nothing feels finished, but everything feels different. That's exactly why people can't stop talking about it. Before we break down that final scene, let's go back and see how episode 11 brought us to this moment. This episode is loaded with tension, and every character carries the weight of choices they've made and choices they're still too scared to make. Belly finds herself caught once again in the familiar storm between Conrad and Jeremiah. She knows both of them in ways no one else ever could, and that knowledge makes her heart heavier instead of lighter. All season long, we've seen her shift from moments of clarity to moments of doubt. But in this episode, it feels like she finally has to face the consequences of everything unsaid. The episode sets the stage at the summer house, a place that always looks warm and glowing on the surface but hides every sharp memory underneath. For Belly, it isn't just a house. It's where she grew up, where she fell in love, and where she's been torn apart. This time, every hallway and corner feels charged, like the walls themselves are aware of the love triangle playing out inside. For Conrad, the house is a reminder of what he has lost, not just Belly, but also the sense of belonging he once had. And for Jeremiah, it's a battleground he doesn't want but can't walk away from. Episode 11 makes it clear that summer isn't just a season here, it's a stage for heartbreak. Throughout the episode, Belly struggles with her own emotions while everyone around her seems to want answers. Jeremiah wants her to choose, to be clear about what she feels. Conrad, on the other hand, avoids speaking directly about his emotions, but his silence is louder than words. These two brothers stand on opposite ends of love, one open and desperate to hold on, the other closed off but quietly breaking inside. The show captures this through lingering looks, unfinished sentences, and that constant pull between comfort and passion. Belly is in the center, and her silence carries just as much power as anything she says. We also see the supporting threads come back into focus. Laurel, Belly's mom, continues to be a grounding presence, reminding us that love stories are never just about romance. They are about family, about growing up, and about learning how to carry grief. Laurel's advice to Belly throughout the episode is calm but sharp, like she knows exactly how hard it is to make a choice that feels right when someone is bound to get hurt. These quiet mother-daughter exchanges highlight just how much Belly has grown since the first season. She isn't the same girl who only dreamed of Conrad's attention or who thought summer would always be a fairy tale. Now, she's a young woman who understands that love doesn't fix everything, it complicates it. As the episode moves closer to its final moments, tension between Conrad and Jeremiah grows impossible to ignore. Their rivalry is raw, but it's not just about Belly. It's about years of unspoken feelings, years of being compared, and years of love and loss twisting together. This episode allows us to see both brothers not as perfect love interests, but as flawed and hurting young men. That's what makes the ending so powerful. It isn't a simple choice. It's the breaking point of all the emotions we've seen boiling under the surface. By the time episode 11 reaches its last 10 minutes, you can feel the storm about to crash. Every glance between Belly and the Fisher brothers carries the weight of history. Every line of dialogue feels like a final chance to change everything. And when the credits finally roll, viewers are left with questions, not answers. That's what makes this ending so unforgettable. It's not about clarity. It's about the ache of knowing that nothing will ever be the same again. The final scene of episode 11 doesn't just wrap up the storyline of the hour. It cracks open the deepest feelings the show has been building toward all season. It begins in a moment of quiet, but that quiet is heavy, almost louder than shouting. Belly stands there, caught between the two brothers who have shaped her summer, her memories, and her entire sense of love. The air feels tense, as if everyone knows the truth is about to come out, but no one wants to be the first to say it. This is the moment the entire episode has been leading toward, and the writers make sure we feel every heartbeat of hesitation. The framing of the scene is important. The summer house becomes more than just a backdrop, it becomes a witness. The walls have seen laughter, heartbreak, and confessions, and now they watch as Belly faces the decision that has been pulling at her since the beginning of the story. It's late, the light is softer, and there's a stillness in the room that tells us this is not going to be an easy goodbye or a happy declaration. Instead, it's going to be raw and painful, the kind of moment that stays with the characters long after the words are spoken. Conrad, as always, is the hardest to read. He doesn't throw his feelings out in the open the way Jeremiah does. Instead, he stands slightly apart, as if he's both protecting himself and testing Belly at the same time. His silence is powerful because it forces Belly to confront what she knows deep down, that Conrad's love has always been real, but it's wrapped in fear, loss, and a struggle to open up. When he finally speaks, his words don't feel rehearsed or polished, they feel like they're pulled straight from a place he's been trying to hide. That honesty makes the moment sting even more. Jeremiah, in contrast, cannot hide what he feels. He looks at Belly with the kind of urgency that says he's terrified of losing her. His presence in the ending scene is full of energy, almost desperate, as if every second is slipping through his fingers. He's not subtle. He doesn't want to be. For Jeremiah, love is about choosing now, fighting now, and refusing to stay quiet. That difference between the brothers Conrad's restraint and Jeremiah's openness clashes in this final moment, making Belly's silence even more important. The entire scene becomes less about what is said and more about what remains unsaid. The tension grows until Belly finally reacts. She doesn't shout, and she doesn't give a long speech. Instead, her choice shows in the way she looks, in the way she holds her ground, and in the weight of her silence. For viewers, this is the most painful part, because we can see that she loves both of them, but she knows she can't carry both loves anymore. The ending scene makes clear that Belly has grown. She isn't the girl who hides from her feelings. She's the young woman who knows that every decision will leave scars, no matter how careful she tries to be. The power of this ending lies in how unfinished it feels. There's no clean resolution. The screen cuts to black, not with closure, but with questions burning in our minds. Did Belly make the right choice? Does Conrad regret not speaking sooner? Can Jeremiah recover from the way his hope flickered in that moment? The scene refuses to answer, because the truth is that love triangles never end neatly. Someone always walks away hurting. And in this case, maybe everyone walks away carrying some kind of heartbreak. Another layer that makes the ending unforgettable is the way the music swells behind the scene. The soundtrack doesn't overwhelm. It underscores the ache. The notes are soft but sharp, the kind of music that feels like summer nights when everything is ending but you wish it could last forever. That sound carries the emotions of the characters when their words fall short. It reminds us that this isn't just a love story, it's a story about time, memory, and the bittersweet reality of growing up. The final shot lingers long enough to let us see the characters' faces one last time. Belly looks torn but steady. Conrad's expression holds both love and regret, like he's already punishing himself for waiting too long. Jeremiah's eyes burn with the fear of losing something he thought he could finally hold on to. Each of them is frozen in a different kind of heartbreak, and that image is what stays with viewers after the screen fades. It's not just a cliffhanger for the next episode. It's a mirror of everything we've been feeling while watching the season. Episode 11's ending is more than just a setup for episode 12. It's a breaking point, a reminder that love can't exist without pain, and that choices define us more than feelings ever could. This scene captures the exact moment when innocence ends and reality begins. Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah can never go back to how things were, and neither can we as viewers. That's why the ending lands with such force. It tells us that the summer may still be glowing, but the warmth will never be the same again. The power of the episode 11 ending doesn't just come from what happens on screen. It comes from the way each character carries years of history into a single moment. This scene is less about a love triangle and more about who these three people truly are when the weight of love, family, and time presses down on them. To really understand the ending, we need to look at Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah not just as players in a romance, but as individuals who are each fighting their own battles.